Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the VMblog Expert Interview series. And today we have a familiar face back with us, my friend Simon Taylor, the founder and CEO of HYCU. Simon, as always, it's great to have you back on the show.
Dave, it's great to be here and it's great to see you, my friend, as well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. So, if you would just kind of set the table for us and just give us a quick elevator pitch for
Yeah,
HYCU to help refresh folks who may be watching this to better understand, who the company is.
of course. So HYCU stands for Hybrid Cloud Uptime, HYCU, and we are the world's fastest growing data protection as a services company. Now supporting over 86 integrations. That means you can back up and recover data from 86 different data sources across on-prem, public cloud, and SaaS. We're the world's number one leader in SaaS data protection, in fact, a journey that we began in April of 2018. Today, we have 4,600 customers in 78 countries. And as Dave knows very well, we were signed to the Extended Technologies ETC price list at Dell in January, meaning that we can actually be bought off of the Dell price book in any country across the world.
Now, I know HYCU and the team have been on a worldwide tour of events. And it sounds like it's been another busy week for the team at Dell Technologies World. HYCU supporting Dell isn't really new in and of itself, but can you talk about what is new and what was recently announced?
Of course. I think one of the key tenets of Haiku compared to many, many other data protection vendors today is we have always said we will never sell storage. And you might say, well, why is that important for the customer? And it's important, Dave, because it gives the customer true freedom of choice and gives them complete control of their data set. We always feel as though when you're a data protection vendor or a SaaS vendor and you say, well, we're also going to sell you the storage, you're going to secretly try to upsell the storage, aren't you? I think we've done a really good job of working on things like compression, deduplication, and all sorts to make sure that we can really support the customer wherever their needs are, whether they want to back up the data to on-prem or cloud. But let's get right into Dell. About 2 years ago, we started talking to the Data Protection Services DPS team at Dell under Ray Lipsky, and we had an amazing set of conversations with him because what he was saying to me is, listen, Dell has the best hardware in the world. Data Domain is the best deduplication product in the world. And, you guys support 86 different backup sources. So, whether it's Google or Azure or AWS, et cetera, or Nutanix, for example, we'd love to be able to back you up onto Data Domain. So Haiku set to work about a year ago. We added all of the on-prem targets and sources first, and we became Data Domain compatible. Then we joined the DD Boost ecosystem, which is the Data Domain Boost protocol. And so we started to become a real player in the Dell space because customers certainly suddenly said, wow, so I can have the world's best Nutanix backup and recovery. I can use all these great features from Haiku, and I can back it up to Data Domain. That's what we did a year ago. And that was when the sort of partnership began. That's when we joined the ETC price list, et cetera. But then we continued talking to Dell. And our good friends over there, including David Noy and Travis Vigil and others in the product team, they said, wow, you guys are now supporting all of this cloud and SaaS data as well. This is incredible. But unfortunately, cloud and SaaS, it'd be great if that could land on Data Domain as well. And we said, well, what if it could? And so we spent the last year, Dave, we actually put about half of our engineering resources on build is sort of picking up the platform and putting it on Data Domain Virtual Edition. So now customers can get that true value of Data Domain deduplication wherever they go. If they're backing up their on-prem data, they can use Data Domain on-prem. If they're backing up, Google Cloud or AWS or Azure, they can back it up onto Data Domain Virtual Edition, also known as DDVE. And I think the most important thing here is it's not just cloud, it's not just on-prem, it's also SaaS. You've heard me talk about this for years. The SaaS market was completely underserved. Until Haiku, you had about five of the world's largest SaaS services that were backed up and recovered from anybody. And then Haiku entered the market, we back up 86, 10 times more than anybody else in the world. And then we said, wow, what if Dell could actually protect people's data on DDVE, even if it's SaaS? So we moved our whole platform onto DDVE, and now, whether it's Office 365, whether it's Salesforce, whether it's Okta, whether it's Entra ID, whether it's Atlassian, the list goes on and on. you can get the full Data Domain Virtual Edition experience, even when you're trying to back up and recover SaaS data. So that's been a huge announcement for us. We're here at the Dell Tech World show. We've got a massive booth. It's a big purple. We call it the Tower of Power. It's sort of like a giant acropolis sitting in the middle of the show, and it features all 86 of those integrations. And so I think it's a great opportunity for the HYCU Dell relationship to expand because now we're going hard at this market, and we've got more coverage for Dell sellers and for Dell customers than anyone else provided before.
That's great. I mean, this announcement with Dell, I mean, it really does sound like this latest innovation, and the support that you're announcing is extremely significant.
Thank you, Dave. I think it is, and I think that what's great about it is that we're meeting the mood of the market. We're seeing a lot of people move from, let's say, VMware to Nutanix or VMware to other hypervisors. We're also seeing a lot of people stay on VMware, but we are also in the world of AI. The data lake is becoming more essential than ever before. Things like Google BigQuery are becoming these monoliths, these massive data sets. And it's amazing to think that until HYCU, they were completely unprotected. There was no way to recover Google BigQuery. And so now, no matter what digital transformation project you're going through, no matter what AI initiative your company's running, you have a real solution for getting enterprise grade data protection, and you can do it all through Dell, which is, of course, incredibly exciting for us.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are really you announced it this week. You've been talking about it, showcasing it at the show. Can we unpack things a bit more? Maybe talk about specifically, what are Dell customers gaining by having Haiku to protect data on Dell PowerProtect data domain?
Yeah. I think Dave, if you look at the last 30 years of technology, there's not a lot of constants. But probably the biggest constant that I can think of in the infra space is data domain. People absolutely love it. People are, still, massive fans all these years later. Dell has continued to enhance it and make it better and better and better. But, we know statistically speaking that the software drags the hardware. And so I think that the challenge for so many customers over the last couple of years has been, hey, I love data domain. I've always been a big data domain person. I run an IT shop for a major enterprise, and I want to use data domain. I understand the value of the dedupe ratios. I just love the product. However, it's not connected to my cloud world. It's not connected to my SaaS world. And as my data estate modernizes and shifts and becomes more cloud native or more cloud first or more SaaS first, what do I do? How do I keep data domain in the mix? HYCU is that bridge. We're bridging the data domain relationship into the next generation of the modern data estate. And I think, we love to be that bridge. We're honored to be that bridge. And I think that, we've got 86 workloads that are walking over that bridge every day and enabling those customers to get the true value of data domain, regardless of where their data sits. Really giving them sort of the best of both, the best of all worlds, really. And again, I love to say it's not just about HYCU's incredible data recovery. It's also about data domain. It's also about freedom, the freedom to choose your storage target. These managed services that are out there forcing people into a cloud that they might have bought, in bulk, that has a lot of limitations on it. It doesn't always give customers the best path for themselves. And I think especially we see that in the large enterprise where people want that flexibility, they want that freedom, and they want data domain. And so, the message is very simple. It's if you love data domain, and you're responsible for an enterprise IT department, you now have a foolproof way to provide end-to-end data protection across on-prem, public cloud, and SaaS, and keep data domain in the mix, both on-prem and as DDVE.
Now, you and I have been talking for many years now. I'm real familiar with the company, the technology, and
Of course you are.
I've watched the company grow and the software evolve. Talk about what kind of applications that Haiku's supporting and what's unique about what does support.
Yeah. It goes back to what I said before around, we actually went through the whole Gartner Magic Quadrant and we added up all of the SaaS services that were protected. And out of 30,000 SaaS services, only five of them were backed up by any of the other competitors. And we said, this has to change. This is a real problem. 80% of the world's data is completely, unprotected at this point. And the reason is very simple. The way that backup and recovery was always built was you choose one product, one data source that has the biggest total addressable market, and then you build a platform around it. And that's what everybody's always done. You had, one company for Unix, you had one for Windows, you had one for VMware. The list kind of goes on and on. We were the one for Nutanix. We said this needs to change. The world needs one ring to rule them all. It needs an ability to visualize where all your data is, give you the ability to migrate your data, set up DR scenarios, and get that instant recovery whenever you need it. And we said, how would you go about building a platform where you can address a much wider swath of the data, those SaaS services? And so what we actually did is we built a platform and we invited third parties to come and write to us. And by doing that, we were able to sort of explode out the number of total integrations that we actually offer. One of the best examples, my favorite example, is my friend Neil, who runs iManage. iManage is, if you're a lawyer, a very, very familiar tool. And it's a content management system for law firms. And they keep the data rather, and manage the data for over 4,000 of the world's largest law firms across the world. And Neil, lovely guy, called me up and he said, "Listen, we're going to move this to the cloud and offer this as SaaS, and we'd love for HYCU to offer the data protection for this." We said, "No problem. You can do it yourself." They added an integration into our marketplace, and now we're the world's only data protection, enterprise grade data protection for iManage. So it's a good example because it shows you that there are so many tens of thousands of SaaS services that you and I have never heard of. Unless you're a lawyer, and every lawyer knows iManage. But if you're the random person on the street, you may not know them, right? And so they're not necessarily going to be the first choice for one of the large enterprise data protection vendors to go out and build a product around. I think the HYCU platform democratizes data protection. It gives people the ability to give customers what they deserve, which is that true security, that true safety of knowing you've got cyber resilience and backup and recovery, backstopping the work that you're doing. And so, we're thrilled about this. And again, the fact that we can now land all of that, including iManage, on Data Domain, it's kind of like, wow, this is sort of a match made in heaven, and we're really excited about it.
It's a great point. Now, as I started off the conversation, I was talking about how you and the team have been on a whirlwind tour of conferences this year. Having just wrapped up Dell Technologies World, making your latest announcement this week, what was the reaction to that announcement and to your presence? What was that like at the show? How did the conference go for you?
It's been phenomenal. I mean, thousands of leads and all those things, which is great, but it's been really, really heartwarming to see the reaction from customers and partners. Customers and partners are more familiar with HYCU than ever before, which is great. But when the Dell sellers, the Dell teams come up, the Dell product teams come up, and they kind of high five us and say, it's great to have you on this journey with us. Like this is really solving a need. I think that's when you've done something right. Dell is, obviously one of the most famous companies on the planet. And, they've got endless resources and they really see the value in what HYCU is doing and they view it as a true partnership. And I think that's been probably the highlight for me has been watching that and also watching customers' eyes light up as they sort of say, wait, oh, GitLab. I never thought about that. I could back that up and I can put it on DDVE. Yes. Oh my gosh, all three clouds? Yes. Office 365? Yes. And you can do Nutanix, and you can do Enterprise, and all of a sudden the brain starts spinning, and they sort of say, "Well, how do I get started?" And you say, "Well, just choose something. Let's get going. Let's use our graph to visualize your data estate. Let's help you out. Let's make sure that you've got that insured, that full. We call it full term insurance, as opposed to the limited liability insurance everyone else has been providing. I think we're really coming out with that full insurance, and I think that's been a phenomenal thing to see in customers' eyes as they sort of capture that and realize, wow, this is the real thing. It's out today. I can buy this right away. I can get started. I can make sure that I now am fully protected across my entire data estate, and I get to do it with Dell, who I've been partnered with forever. And so I think that's great. It's a jump start into the future for Dell. It's a huge jump start for HYCU, and I think ultimately the customer wins, which is the most important thing of all.
That's great. And I've always said it's hard to replicate that the live trade show conference, you know, back and forth with partners, with customers and prospects.
It's so true. It is. I mean, I think look, we're social creatures at the end of the day, even in the IT space. People like to network, they like to talk, they like to learn, and I think the Dell Tech World show has done a great job of making that happen for everybody. So, kudos to Dell, kudos to the organizers, and we're just frankly glad to be a part of it. Very grateful.
Well, Simon, as always, it's great to catch up with you. And I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to educate us on what's going on with Haiku. For viewers watching at home, what should their next steps be to learn more?
Either go to www.hycu.com or contact your local partner or Dell representative and just ask for Haiku for on-prem public cloud and SaaS data protection that lands on Data Domain.
Perfect. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Dave. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
All right. Take care.